Welcome back to another chess game analysis video. So this video is also a microphone test because I've bought the Blue Yeti X microphone, which is nice because now I don't have to wear headphones all the time and the quality of the microphone is definitely better. I haven't quite figured out all the very small details in reaching maximum performance of the microphone, but you can still write into the comments whether or not you think the microphone quality is actually better than in the previous videos. I hope it is, but if it isn't, I'm going to try to figure out some more settings. But now, let's dive into the game that I want to show you. It was played in a club tournament by me last week. I'm playing with the black pieces, and as you can maybe tell from my voice, I have been sick for like 2 weeks, and it's definitely better, but I was not doing very great in the evening that the game was played, so I quickly wanted to reach a draw with the black pieces and go home to sleep. Let's see if I manage to do this. E4, C6, Caro-Kann. If you have a rather strong opponent, you try, at least I do, with Caro-Kann to reach an equal position and then draw the game on the spot. D4, main move, D5, striking the center. We have the exchange variation. My opponent, known for playing rather fast and not so much on theory, he just took and he thought, okay, I'm gonna try to gain an advantage in the middle game. C takes D5, Knight F3 with Bishop F5 development, and I'm not gonna dwell too much on the opening because I think the middle game or rather end game is more interesting in this game. I just played rather fast and it's not that accurate. If you go through the game with the engine, you can definitely find some improvements even in the opening. All of the moves are quite normal and logical, but they aren't that precise. They're just developing moves, normal thing, not too much theory, not trying to get that much of an advantage. Just bringing your pieces out, not blundering a piece or something. We have castles. Knight F6, Knight E5, now going for the bishop. E6, Bishop G5, pinning the knight, Bishop E7, unpinning. Now we have C3 and castles. And now he is ready to take my bishop, because now I have castle and the H file will not be available for my rook. So his king is a little bit safer. So he took the bishop. H takes G6, and the engine says that white is better here, about +1, but there is nothing really concrete in the position. Like 2 pieces have already been exchanged, or like 1 pair of pieces has already been exchanged. We have knight d2, knight bd7 development, knight f3, rook c8, bring the rook into the game, rook e1, knight h7, trying to trade even more material. Now we have bishop takes and queen takes, so I managed to trade off another pair of pieces. Bishop b5, rook fd8, developing the rooks. Now he takes, which I think is a little bit questionable, but after rook takes, knight e5, rook dc7, so already 3 pieces have been exchanged, and we reach this middle game, which is very equal. I'm a little bit better developed, I think, but he has a very nice knight on e5 that I'm trying to exchange in the next few moves. Rook e3, a nice rook lift, I think. Now the idea is to come here, maybe bring the queen over here, and then checkmate, which is a pretty straightforward plan, but the king here is not that great with back rank issues, maybe with the knight, together with the knight here. There could be some issues. I think a good move, rook e3, maybe even queen here, and then just doubling on the e file. I think there are ideas for white to attack in this position, even though a lot has already been traded. Knight f6. We have now rook h3, now trying to go for the plan. Knight d7, now I try to exchange another knight, and if he had exchanged knights here in this position, here I would definitely have offered the draw, because I don't think he has any attacking idea. The queen always guards this square very well, so there are no ideas of bringing the queen here, and this construction is very safe here. The rooks can be doubled. Maybe I can start a minority attack. I think this position is maybe even a little bit easier to play for black, but I don't think there is much in the position. He just in here, and here the trouble starts for white. I did really not want to play for a win here. I was just like, okay, let's draw the game, go home. But he played queen g4, now trying to bring the queen into the attack, which seems rather nice and centralizing, but it blunders. Like, it's just a mistake from a tactical point of view, because now I can exchange the knight he has to take with pawn, and now rook c4 now attacks the queen, and also guards this square so that there are never ideas of trying to checkmate me. Also, the pawns do a great job here. The double pawn, it doesn't look that nice, but it does a great job that the queen can never go here and checkmate me. So rook c4, nice centralizing move. Also, maybe at some point the rook can come in here and cover the fourth rank. Now it's very nice idea here. Now the queen has to go back, queen g3, and now this is the move which I'm kind of proud in the game that I found this queen b4. Very nice move, I think. Now in this position I was definitely trying. Here, when I saw this move, I thought, okay, now I'm trying to win this game, because I think black is better, and the engine agrees with me, -3. So you have to quickly look at it. First of all, I thought my opponent at least like 15 to 1700 somewhere elo. So I thought, okay, he's gonna see that he can't take the queen. If he took, well, this would be checkmate in 2 moves, which I would have been happy, because that wins the game on the spot. But I was kind of certain that he wouldn't take the queen and get checkmated in 2. But at least, I mean, the queen move is very nice. It centralizes the queen. It goes for the attack, also attacks this pawn, and somehow has to still deal with this pawn. And the only reasonable move to not blunder the pawn immediately is rook b1, which he found. And now I played queen a4, attacking the a pawn and also looking into the c2 square. As you can see, the white king is not that well placed. Still back rank issues, which also you can see in this position with taking the queen. The back rank issue is the main problem for white. And if you pay attention to the back rank in the next few moves as well, on the next few moves, you can see that this is also constantly an issue. So here, interestingly enough, the engine, which I saw in the game, but I calculated that a little bit wrong. I played queen a4, but I want to show you, you can technically take this pawn, and if this pawn takes, then this is checkmate. But the idea would be, if you take here, you also threatening checkmate here again. So white has to give up the queen for 2 rooks and play this endgame, which I thought in the game I didn't want to go into this. But the engine says that it's way better for black. It's like -3, which I think is interesting, because two rooks and the queen are normally basically equal material. But here in the position, apparently, maybe with this d pawn that is already passed, and together with the queen, this is apparently winning for black, but I didn't see the continuation. I didn't want to go into this. I thought the 2 rooks here on the c file were pretty nice, while the queen here is pretty passive, so I didn't want to give up my 2 nice rooks for the queen, so I rather played queen a4, trying to come in here. And now he played queen d3, blundering the pawn. The engine desperately, I think it's interesting, wants to play a3, save this pawn, allow me to come in here, now force a queen trade, because the rook was attacked here. And after the queen trade, you can go after the pawn on e5, which normally you see this e5 pawn often in the Caro-Kann, which is often overextended, and you can often attack it. Here with rook e4. Now the only reasonable way to save the pawn is rook e3, forcing a rook trade. And afterwards you can play rook c4. And the rook comes in here, and the doubled isolated e-pawn is very weak, and you're gonna win one of these pawns, and you play this endgame. Being up a pawn with the better pawn structure, I think you can definitely try to win this with black, but this would have been the best attempt for white to somehow save the game. But my opponent played queen d3, not allowing me to come in here, but this just blunders a pawn, which, well, it doesn't blunder it, he just gave it up. But now I'm up a pawn, still back rank issues. The queen now constantly has to look for to guard this rook. Rook e3, and now I played d4, which is again, I think, a very nice move. You again can't take, because there are back rank issues. If you take here, then you can, oh, this is an interesting variation, you can actually take here And if the queen takes, there is back rank issue. So c takes d4 would have been a variation here. You can sacrifice the rook, and then after rook, my opponent played rook e4, but after d4, you could take, and after this rook sacrifice, you can't take the rook, but you would need to go back, defend the rook here, and now the other rook infiltrates, and I think this is your upper pawn with black, and the variation is a little bit strange, but I think this would have been possible for white. That's what I calculated in the game. I thought he's probably going to take the pawn when I push d4, and this is the whole reason why this variation is the whole reason why d4 actually works. Again, back rank issues, everything is very hard to defend. So my opponent, he didn't take this pawn, but he played rook e4, and now c takes d3, now trading off a pair of pawns. Rook takes, and this is also one of the interesting moments I think in the game. I took with the queen. I first considered taking with the rook, which you can do, but I was a little bit unsure. Once this takes, I again thought, well, I can sacrifice the rook again. If he takes the rook, there is back rank issue, so I win the game. But here, which is very interesting, you always have to be careful for counterplay. Sacrificing the rook in this position actually blunders the game, because if you take the rook, if you take the pawn, he doesn't have to take the rook, but he has queen d8 check. Very interesting. And now you see this very crippled pawn structure in front of the black king. Doesn't protect the king very well, because after king h7 you have a perpetual check here, and you draw the game by threefold repetition. So all the rook sacrifices, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Here in this position, they would not have worked because of this perpetual check. So I was unsure what to do in this position, actually. When I can't sacrifice the rook for checkmate, then I was not sure what to do. Of course, black is still better. But I decided, once I saw that the rook sacrifice doesn't work because of the perpetual, I just decided here to take with my queen. And now, of course, there are threats of taking here, back rank issues again. The queen is hanging, needs to move or to trade itself, which my opponent played. Queen takes c4, rook takes c4. Now he traded off the pair of pawns. B takes c3, rook takes c3. And now again you see the back rank issue. I have 2 pawns more, and you can try to win a pawn here. Well, you can't try to win a pawn here because of back rank issue checkmate. So basically, what he has to do, he has to play g3 to finally resolve back rank issues. Now the b7 pawn is actually hanging, but now you just solidify the passed pawns, and you have 2 pawns here on the rim of the board, which is completely winning. He played rook d1, b5, now the pawns start to roll. He plays f4, a5, another pawn is rolling. He can't do a lot, he just tries to activate the rook and the king. A4, king f2, b4, and in this position my opponent resigned the game, because there is nothing you can do. You can't stop both of the passed pawns. One variation, just to quickly show you, is if you approach with the king, then b3, rook blocks the pawn, rook b7, always very nice technique, going behind your pawns with the rook. King approaches, but now you have a3, kicking the rook, rook has to go away, b2, and now you can try to play rook d1, but now queen, and this endgame is completely lost. And she says mate in 7, because at next few moves you're gonna queen, and rook and queen are gonna checkmate you in 7 moves. So this is why in this position with the rook endgame and the 2 connected pass pawns, my opponent resigned the game. I think a very nice illustration of how you can transition from actually defending and trying to play passively in this position to playing actively. Once you see your chance, you need to activate your pieces and you need to go for an attack. Also constantly worry about the back rank, not have such a weird constellation here with the rooks, with the heavy pieces and the pawns blocking your own king here. So I think a very smooth game with a lot of trading, and then in the middle game trying to win one pawn, win another pawn, and then win this in a rook endgame. I start to somehow after playing for a while, I start to like end games more than before because I start winning them, but I still need to improve a lot, I think, because I still lose end games quite a lot. That's part of the process. I hope you like this game. If you want to send me your own games, you can do so in the community study as well. You can watch the games and analyze them for yourself in the community study on Lichess, link below. Check out my Instagram, check out my YouTube and Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video. Tell me how the microphone sounds, by the way. I would be very curious. So, see you. Bye.